The 2019 MHSAA Bowling Championships were underway. The games were filled with a ton of surprises. There were first-time champions, games going down to the final frame, and a streak that you don't want to miss. And we covered all of it.
Starting in Division 1, the Girls Division Finals feature New Baltimore, Anchor Bay, and Jenison. Anchor Bay tries to win their first championship since 2011, and Jenison gunning for their first title in school history. In the Baker games, Jenison would take over with their excellent team play, winning both games with a 38-point lead into the regular game. Anchor Bay would step up their game in the final round, led by Kate Klatz, who bowled a team-high 193. Leading to a back-and-forth game between the two teams, multiple players would come up big with huge strikes. But in the end, Jenison's lead was just too much for Anchor Bay to overcome. With stellar play by Anna Bartz, who bowled for a 209, and Alexis Van Wickwis, who led all bowlers with a 244, would seal the deal and make Jenison first-time champions under head coach Kim Becker in her final season.
We're actually the first team in history to win the state tournament, and it means a lot to us. We've spent so much time and energy into bowling. Lauren Slaughter, Lexi, we've been bowling our whole lives pretty much, and that's what we're gonna do. It feels amazing. As you can see, Lexi has been crying the past half an hour. So we're all super excited and so happy to be here. I'd like to thank Kimba, what we call her Coach Kim, because this is her last year, and we just appreciate her so much and love her so much, and we're all gonna miss her a lot.
Farmington Hills Harrison and Oxford would face off in the bowling championship game for the boys. With the school closing, Harrison looks to win their first, which will also be the last boys bowling championship ever, and Oxford is looking to ruin the moment. Starting with the Baker games, Harrison took both games, dominating the first 225 to 155 and narrowly winning the second 221 to 202. Oxford goes into the final game with a chip on their shoulder, being down a whopping 89 pins. Players bowled multiple strikes to try and cut the lead. Colin Massey chipped in with a couple of strikes himself and completed a few spares to add to Oxford's score. But the deficit was just too much to overcome, as players from Harrison caught fire, rarely missing a pin, including Blake Rintz, who led all bowlers with a 269 to close the game out for Harrison. Harrison will go on to win their first bowling state title in school history.
With the school closing this year, it honestly impacts Harrison a lot. Bring home a state championship the last and final year, especially because it's the first and last championship Harrison will ever win for bowling, and we're happy to bring it home to them. My teammates, I love those guys to death, absolute death. Words don't explain my love for those guys. They're brothers to me. I spend more time with them than I do with my own brother. These guys are closer to me than anything, and we all stick up for each other. We all got each other's backs, and we're one big family. Harrison, I want to thank Coach Hermione, all my teammates, and everyone here to support us. Shout out to Oxford as well. Great guys.
We're here at Century Bowl of Waterford for the Division II Boys and Girls Bowling Championships. Let's start with the girls, as two powerhouses, Flick Kersley and Tecumseh, face off in what would be a close battle. Flick Kersley looks to win their 6th consecutive title and their 7th in the last 8 years, while Tecumseh looks for their first title since 2010. Let's start with the Baker games. Both teams will go back and forth in a tight battle. Tecumseh's Liza Verrier, who caught fire bowling a couple of strikes in a row, gave her team an early boost. Tecumseh would win the first Baker game, 185 to 182. Heading into the second Baker game, Tecumseh would try to hold on to a 3-point lead, but it would be the girls of Flick Kersley who would make a comeback, led by Alexis Ruff, who put the team on her back, bowling a strike at a key moment of the game. Flick Kersley would come back and win the second Baker game, 173 to 168. At the end of both Baker games, Flick Kersley would lead 355 to 353. On to the regular bowl game. Flick Kersley would try to extend their 2-point lead over Tecumseh. In an attempt to get her team back in the game, Tecumseh's Kaylee Pinter bowled a staggering team best 204. But the defending champs had something different in mind, as Imari Blonde and Samantha Tim would come up big time for Flint Kersley, Blonde will bowl a turkey late in the game, and Tip will come up with a big strike that would be the difference in this one. The girls from Tecumseh laid out all they had, but would come up just short as Flip Kersley would celebrate their 6th consecutive girls bowling championship in a row. Coached by Robert Plouffe, and here's what he had to say.
We strive for this. Our girls started working out at the gym in September. We worked in September and October. We trained for this. We bowl in a lot of tournaments. We just bowl. So we knew that we were going to be at the bowling alley at 7 in the morning and we'd be here till 6 at night, and we were ready for it. So I knew we were going to get challenged. We got challenged by Tecumseh there in the finals. I mean, they had us by 50 pins going into the 6th frame. So I just got the girls together and said, you're going to have to want this more than Tecumseh. You got to go out there and start filling some frames, and they did.
We came in kind of like confident that we were going to win because we've won it so many years in the past. So we had a good feeling about today. 6 in a row is crazy. I never would have thought that I would have been the leadoff bowler on a state championship team.
The Division II Boys Championship game featured New Boston Huron and Tecumseh. In the semis, New Boston Huron knocked off Owasso and Tecumseh knocked off Cadillac to get to the finals. Both teams are trying to win the title for the first time. Starting with the Baker game, the overall #1 team in Division II came out on fire with multiple players bowling strikes, as they will own the Baker games, winning both games with a final score of 436 to 321. Heading into the regular game, Tecumseh would try to pull off a massive upset, and it would start with the excellent play from Tecumseh's Ryan Moore, who bowled an overall best 229. Hunter Raybeck, who bowled a perfect game in the semis, chipped in with a couple of strikes himself to close the gap against New Boston Huron. But the boys in red would prove to be too much, as Zach Winiski, who bowled an overall 197, Sam Hughes, who bowled key strikes throughout the game, and New Boston's emotional senior leader, Drake Banzi, will ultimately guide New Boston Huron to their first championship under head coach Larry Collins.
Well, probably the best thing that happened to us last weekend is qualifying 3rd for regionals. That got them a little more hungry. They took it a little more serious. They worked a little harder at practice this past week. So that's what we did to keep them motivated.
I think just focusing on like big shots. I think that's what we, because sometimes our team loses focus sometimes, and we kind of built up on that. Still kind of lost for words. I don't know how to take it right now. About to go to Zab Zone, have some fun.
Well, I've never won a state title before, so it's an unbelievable feeling. I've been coaching for this, I think, my 9th year now. I started a program, and this is one of the best teams I've ever had. We've come close so many times, but they wouldn't let me down this time.
When we come back, we'll check out highlights from the boys and girls Division III bowling finals.
I'm on the Blue Devil football team, and that's a great place to be, because other colleges wouldn't let me be both a football player and a nursing student. And just because I'm a dog on the field doesn't mean I can't take care of people. And man, do I love people. The small class size at LTU give me awesome access to my nursing professors. Lawrence Tech, where Blue Devils dare.
The Division III Boys and Girls Bowling Championships took place at Northway Lanes in Muskegon. Ogama Heights and Gladwin would go head-to-head for all the marbles. Starting with the Baker games, Gladwin's Ryan Day throws for a big strike, and Gladwin would cruise to take both Baker games 379 to 321. Moving on to the regular game, Gladwin keeps the ball rolling as multiple players make big-time contributions as Tanner Mielk picks up the 5-pin spare on the way to a 172-point day. Cody Roars throws a strike, and he would lead Gladwin with 188 total points. Day is not far behind with 188 for himself. However, Ogama would not go down without a fight. Jacob Fritz, who subbed out for Isaac Gavitt, throws for a combined 179. CJ Gillette throws for another strike on his way to a 171-point day. And the man who led all bowlers, Blake Zoomer, throws yet another strike and ends his night with a whopping 214 on the night. But the margin was just too big to overcome, as Ogama would have to settle for second, and Gladwin would become your Division III state champion.
I'm just proud of my teammates. I couldn't do it without them, and it's about time that we finally made it past the qualifying round of states.
Immeasurable.
immeasurable. I'll tell you, these guys pulled it together today and just made it an awesome, awesome day. Exhilarating. No other way to put it. It's the first time for the Gladwin boys to advance through the qualifier and make it this far, and first time for our school. The girls made runner-up 2 years ago, and this year the boys pulled through and got state champs, so it's pretty exciting.
We were in for a treat tonight in Division III girls bowling, as the top 2 seeds, Coloma and Birch Run, would face off for the division title. Coloma would win the first Baker game 159-127, but Birch Run would come back and steal the second Baker game 164-118, giving them a 14-point lead heading into the regular game. Coloma would begin their comeback with Narelle Hickman, who strikes and bowls for 155 on the day, closing the gap with Birch Run. But Birch Run has no plans to go away, as Jessica Inman would throw a strike on her way to a 172-point day. Marjorie Marlette would lead Birch Run with 186 points. However, Coloma would not go away, as Narelle Hickman strikes and ends the day bowling for 155. This game would come down to a few pins, and Coloma's Emily Felton gladly accepted the challenge. Felton led all bowlers with a game-high 194. With 2 strikes in the final frame, she picks up 8 pins with her last throw, enough to put Coloma on top for good. Great game, the runner-up Birch Run, and congratulations to Coloma, who came back from 14 pins down to become the 2019 Division III Bowling Girls Champions.
I'm completely shocked. I don't know what to say. It's just crazy. My voice is gone. I'm just proud of my team and nonstop. We've been waiting for it for a long time. It's just crazy.
Top of the world. I mean, this is what we wanted. This is what we worked for. This is everything.
Coming up after the break, you'll find out which teams took home the Division IV championships. You don't want to miss this.
It's hard for young people to get financed, and Michigan Legacy helped me get my first auto loan. For that, I'm forever grateful, and I love this credit union.
At Michigan Legacy Credit Union, students are eligible to get a car loan without a cosigner. We are offering car loans to members who are 18 years or older and have not established credit yet. If you have a job, Michigan Legacy Credit Union can provide a car loan you can afford, allowing you to make your first big purchase. Go to MichiganLegacyCU.org to learn more. Start your financial future with Michigan Legacy Credit Union.
A long day at M66 Lanes in Battle Creek for Division IV MHSAA Bowling Finals culminated on the boys' side with Unionville Seaboing meeting up with Bronson High School, who is searching for its second consecutive state title. In the first Baker game, both teams came out battling, going strike for strike over the first 3 frames, but Bronson made little to no mistakes, as they had only 1 spare and 1 open frame the entire first game, and finished with 5 consecutive strikes, including 3 in the 10th by senior Brandon Hiska. Hiska had rolled a perfect 300 in the qualifying stages and carried that momentum into the final. He was lights out in Game 1 to take the first Baker's game 245-172. USA would take the second Baker game 182-172, but Bronson still had a 62-pin advantage heading into the regular game. In the regular game, USA had to make up some ground, and Nick Lutz started off his game with a strike to give the Patriots a nice start. But Bowen McCullough for Bronson bowled a strong 187 and finished with the Vikings' second best score behind Hiska's 195. For USA, Ethan Andrel took a perfect game into the 10th frame during the quarterfinals and rolled another strong match against Bronson, finishing with the 194 in the finals. But it was Hiska and Hiska all day long, leading the way for the Vikings to become back-to-back state champions.
It's awesome. We had a couple guys that not come back, and we had to battle through a lot to get where we were, and we had to fight through a lot. We had a lot of guys had to step up into their roles, and it's big.
Today I thought that we stayed really consistent. That was the good thing. I mean, we had one big game in the qualifying. Brandon had a great game, 300, and that was our biggest game, but for the most part we were consistent the rest of the day. So,
The competition. We always have a lot of competition, bowling a lot of tournaments every year. It's just bowling with a bunch of buddies and getting it done.
On the girls' side, it was Bronson's girls team against East Jackson. The Vikings' main objective, join the boys as state champions. After one Baker game, East Jackson held a 182 to 145 pin advantage. But in the second Baker game, Bronson's Aubrey Weinberg started off strong with a strike to lead off the game. But it would be a tight affair as a late strike by East Jackson's Kendra Moore kept it within striking distance. Bronson would take game 2, but it was East Jackson with the 309 to 276 pin advantage heading into the final regular game. From there, it was Harley Davis of Bronson helping set the tone early on in the final game, closing frames 1 through 5, including a nice strike in the 4th frame. She finished with 142. For East Jackson, the Trojans just couldn't find much consistency in the final game, but Alexis Brzezinski led the charge, leading East Jackson through scoring through 5 frames, including this solid 4-pin spare. But the Vikings were just too much to handle, including a fired-up Dakota Smith, who racked up the strikes all day and finished with a game-high 178. The junior leading Bronson to their first Division IV state championship.
I felt so excited and very nervous all at the same time. It's just an amazing experience.
After last year coming very close and missing out, this year it was all or nothing for us, and it was exciting to see the girls actually grow from last year to this year. Dakota's very passionate. She really loves to bowl, and when she gets the team up and she's doing well, everybody's doing well, or she tries to get them there. Passionate bowlers is what we need. She helps them along, and it was great. It's great to see us all up today.